UKLC is presented by Barclays and Curry's PC World.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC as we're getting geared up and ready to go into our second game of the day between Munster and MNM. Now, London and Munster were two teams that everybody said looked like the easy top two in the league. And MNM, I think, were maybe kind of underrated a little bit. Everyone saw them and said, it's a good lineup, but I don't know, it's not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Munster and London. But currently, MNM are standing at the top of the tables, 7-2. And Munster, they are tied up with Enclave and London in the 2nd to 4th area of the brackets. A win here will obviously bring MNM down to London's level and tie that all up. And then future games coming up later on in the day could actually shuffle around our table once again. But if MNM can get a win here, they actually slingshot themselves ahead in the table and in the standings over the other teams.
Yeah, by a decent margin as well, pending other results that will happen later today. But a big win if they beat Munster Rugby Gaming Academy, because it separates them from another team that is really just hot at their heels, one win away. What I would say about MNM is I like to refer back to that Reclamation interview that we had yesterday, where he said, better than the sum of their parts. When you come into a league like this and you're not entirely sure of the players, you're not entirely sure how the teams, you haven't seen much of them before, the immediate way that you assess teams is always individual players. I assess a team based on the respective individual player's skill and notoriety or whatever else you want to do to apply a power ranking to that particular player, and therefore then you sort of coalesce that into a team rating. But as the game is, as the split has gone, and it's been quite clear that for MNM specifically, it has been, okay, individual power rankings aside, this team plays better as a unit, more so than anybody else in the league. And that is what has been giving MNM their advantages. And I think Reclamation, I love that quote, better than the sum of their parts is the best way to sum it up,
Yeah.
I think that's encouraging to see, especially for a team that has quite a sort of openly admitted that they're just like a group of friends as well. And that's really lovely.
Obviously that helps as well. When you all get on outside of the game, it also helps you in the game, because it means they can kind of pass around a bit more, create feedback without kind of maybe taking it in the wrong way. And this team has proven, to also be a little bit more flexible. When they came into this split, I saw Harry and I went, this is just a Harry focused team. They're going to play around him as the AD carrier. But over the last few weeks, they've shown us that actually Vango is also another really standout player who they like to play around. Aragon is the top laner. He can soak up and deal with his own stuff in top lane. Rifty said yesterday that he felt like Aragon is one of the top laners in the league after him. And for me, it's this creativity and the changing of the parts here, because on the other side for Munster, Diva and Blue Spirits, the mid laner and the AD carry for Munster, also looking like, two of the top in their role as well. So this is a real test for both Vango and Harry coming into this game. Has this new playstyle of playing around Vango, is it going to work versus Diva and Blue Spirits, or are Munster just going to try and put Harry behind and hope that they can deal with Vango?
I mean, obviously, Munster looked absolutely ridiculous yesterday. I think they were up against Bulldogs, so it was like a foregone conclusion a lot of the time. But they in a game where they needed to stomp, whatever, Barrage, Bulldog, it's kind of similar, right? Obviously, Barrage had a really good performance today, but I think, obviously, in a game that you expected them to get a clean win on, they really got a clean win on it. And that's what you want to see from top teams in the league. If you want to really show that there is a gulf between you and teams that are at the bottom of the standings or in the middle of the pack, and that's what Munster did yesterday. I'm very excited for this matchup here, Brain.
We are all excited for this matchup, but before that, we do have to have a quick break. And when we're back with Champ Select and the game for Munster versus MNM. This is the game of the day. You don't want to go anywhere. We'll see you after the break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're getting ready to go into our second game of the day. Champ Select has already started. And there is the Caitlyn ban. Pretty much expected versus Harry. Blue Spirits will have the Ezreal taken away. And we can legitimately see just all AD carry bans here. Both of these two play exceptionally well on that. But Aragon also a good set player. So don't want to give that over and deny that.
Yeah, well, I think Blue Spirits is one of those players that I think has the ability to be very flexible. Like Blue Spirits used to be a mid laner, as far as I was aware. So he's one of those guys, the Syndra ban on blue side is very justified versus Blue Spirits because he has that versatility and flexibility as an AD carry player. But obviously, after his Ezreal performance yesterday, Ezreal's still a strong AD carry in the meta. And it's not actually something that I've seen Harry play. I think Harry's been more of an AD carry player that defaults to those traditional basic attack, late game scaling AD carries like the Aphelios and like the Caitlyn. So banning it away because you're maybe not so comfortable on it makes a lot of sense. This is something that we've seen Blue Spirits play a lot of. I would not be surprised to see the Kalista lock in, and it is going to go through.
And almost, it was kind of telegraphed the Twisted Fate ban as well, coming out from the side of Munster. We could just see an answer of the Ashe here for Harry. Again, it's an AD carry that suits his play style, but also handles the Kalista relatively well. So they could just pick themselves up a strong bot lane and maybe the Fresh in the Ashe deny the Fresh Kalista lane to Munster. But also, Gdanica really, really has shined on this on the Graves. With them banning away the Nidalee, they actually kind of denying something to answer there for No Name, as No Name is a very, very good Nidalee. So I actually maybe like to see a fresh Graves rotation here. They can save the Ashe for third. We'll have to find out.
All right, Gdanica, he's got the Graves. That's interesting because, again, Gdanica is a player that's gone on an evolution throughout the course of this split as well. Originally, there were some question marks around him in the jungle. He has evolved and continued to go from strength to strength, which is great to see. Thresh getting locked in, like you said, Jeppe has had some incredible Thresh games. And Thresh Kalista is an incredibly powerful lane. The backup of Thresh is always Nautilus, though. So the Kalista Nautilus is still a perfectly fine answer. And something that we've seen a significant amount of from Harry has been the Aphelios. We've seen quite a lot of this Aphelios Thresh lane, too. It does Thresh makes up for some of the weaknesses of Aphelios. Thresh makes up for the weaknesses of any immobile AD carry, realistically, by having that Lantern safety available. But the big pick for me here, Hitbrain, is the Elise for No Name. That really sends a message in terms of the way that they're looking to play, and already it makes me feel early bot lane tower dives, or potentially even early top lane tower dives, could be the name of the game here for Munster Rugby Gaming.
Yeah, maybe depending on what Aragon picks up, he could be liable to a lot of attention. We know he's been leaning heavily on the Renekton, so maybe there's a punish coming in here. But for the moment, it is just mid laners galore getting banned away. D.Va going to have the LeBlanc and the Orianna removed from him, and vice versa. Munster are going to ban away the Galio from Vango. We do know, though, Vango does also play this AP Cogmore. I know you're not a massive fan of it, but it is a champion. But actually, Vango pulled off with a 2-0 week last week on. The Karma going to be the final ban here. So something that, they don't want to give him a champion that can kind of just neutralize the lane and then look to be another support for Harry later. Now, what did they want to pick up from MNM in the mid or the top? I feel like they could blind pick a top here and make sure they get Vango as good a matchup as possible. And I said it, he loves this Renekton, so Aragon is going to pick that.
Yeah, Aragon, I think, is his most played champion this entire tournament. And it is kind of synonymous with this player. He's a really good blind top laner. It has lots of impact in the mid game. It's a great split push tool. If you get ahead, it can be a really good tank and really good mid game team fight initiator too. It's a very, very versatile pick. The only drawbacks that Renekton does have is he becomes a stun bot the later that the game goes on, and he is very susceptible to zoning CC. Azir is one of those champions that can really put a lot of pressure on Renekton as a carry in team fight situations.
Now looking for a top laner DBL, kind of just defaulting back to something that can kind of handle the top lane. It is going to be the Ornn. Obviously, once you hit that level 14 mark, you start to hand out the ornaments as well. There's kind of a mini power spike that can go alongside with that. And MNM now looking to round out for something to go for Vango to deal with this Azir in the mid. Now, I'm just trying to think what's been left open really for him to go for this. Zoe obviously has been left open, so that could just be the answer here for Vango.
It's a pretty good answer. It's got lots of wave shove potential. You have the roaming ability as well. You're going to need something that is going to be able to answer and respond to potential tower dives, especially on that bot lane. Like with the lock-in of the Ornn, especially versus a Renekton. You don't ever really like to tower dive Renektons. So to me, this really does look like it's going to be a bot lane focused game. You kind of always expect that when you're playing alongside the Kalista. So this for me is like, okay, Zoe's going to have the ability to shove waves in. It's going to be able to match Azir in terms of, especially early on, it's going to put pressure on Azir in the lane. Try and keep Azir pegged into that lane, or it's going to be able to be a pick that will roam and match any bot lane pressure that comes out from Munster Rugby Gaming Academy. But for win conditions on Munster Rugby Gaming side, really does feel like bot lane is the name of the game here. You're just looking to get early pressure, like the level 4, the level 3 in the lane there with the Nautilus to try and get Aphelios killed. Other than that, you know, the later the game goes, you're going up against the Graves, Zoe, and Aphelios. That is going to be an issue for you. And I think that, you know, you have the range to compete with the Azir. So that's a problem. The later this goes, the more I favor Munster Rugby Gaming. But obviously, I think a lot of early lane pressure sits in the court of MNM.
Yeah. Obviously, though, as this game does go later, when you've got that Aphelios, once he starts to pick up his kind of 3-4 items, it can be a problem. Obviously, Kalista is a champion, but when she gets played, it's more about snowballing and kind of getting ahead of your enemy AD carry. So if Blue Spirits can snowball this and kind of shut Harry down before he can kind of become relevant in this game, then obviously that is what Munster are going to be able to do. So like you said, expect to see them kind of play through bot lane here for both teams realistically. If Harry has an unimpeded laning phase and kind of just left to his own devices to scale up, he is going to be a monster. We've all seen the clips. We all know that Aphelios is a champion who is capable of 1v9ing. So I have to see if there is going to be an answer. And I feel like Munster have drafted themselves a pretty decent comp to deal with this Aphelios early. It's how well they can execute that. And yesterday, we saw from both of these teams, actually, very clean macro coming out. So I think both of these teams are very good at recognizing their win conditions and playing towards them. And for this game, it's going to be very much about who can do that better.
Well, the onus is on Munster to make the proactive moves because they have the Kalista lane. So they're going to be the team that is going to be looking to make those very early rotations up towards Rift Herald. They're going to be the team that wants to control the early Dragons and early Rift Herald. So it's going to be up to them to make that kind of play happen. Jepe's looking for Gdanica here. He's going to try and land the hook, but I wonder if they're just going to put some vision down. Yes, they are. They want to get clear idea of where Graves is starting for the Elise. So it's just a little bit of early scouting and vision control coming down for this Munster roster.
I'm really liking the new invading path thing we're starting to see from a lot of teams. They actually move up and hug walls for longer so they can kind of stay out of vision for as long as possible on invades.
Yeah.
It's something that we started to see more and more in recent weeks. And it just means more creative and kind of like these invades are then potentially more viable as you can catch someone out. But now they are just going to use the spear onto Jepe. Obviously wants to get into the lane nice and quick, and junglers both starting up on their top side, meaning this is definitely going to be a game where we expect to see the action bot lane. Gdanica obviously is going to be on to try and counter gank No Name when he jumps into this bot lane. It looks like he's going to try and match pace with him on that.
I think he wants to try and, like you said, keep himself going the same way as Graves in terms of jungle clear pathing. He wants to make sure that he can either meet Graves early on, because that's where Elise is going to shine, or either counter gank or make an early gank happen. The reason you start top lane as well is if you're looking for a level 3 bot lane gank, you know, after finishing your red, you want to start top to make sure that your jungle pathing naturally alludes to that. So that's why I think No Name is starting on the top side of the map. Gdanica, though, aggressively moving in.
Late invade.
Wow, maybe they just realized that Gdanica would or Gdanica's pathing was going to be potentially red to blue and trying to steal away camps from Elise on the top side of the map. That might be another reason that she started on the top side there. I think they must have managed to essentially circumvent and get around that ward that was in the brush just entering on the red side jungle near mid. They must have managed to sort of trick MNM to thinking that actually this has been a bot lane start for No Name.
Yeah, and they actually do track Gdanica because he just did his Raptors on a ward that had been placed down. So they have full knowledge of where Gdanica is on the map now with the Graves. They'll know he's bot side. No Name also bot side. MNM probably from that invade from Gdanica, they'll probably have some rough idea of where he is. They do land in for the hook there. A great turnaround from Dreampire. Gets some damage onto Blue Spirits as Blue Spirits is ignited. Harry gets flashed onto. Jepe gets first blood.
Wow, what an early engage. And look at this, No Name doesn't even need to make the gank happen. Now he's got the pressure in the bot lane. He's just looking to go aggressive and push Gudanica out of the jungle. It's going to 3-buff him at the start of this game, and it's because he's got good mid lane pressure, and obviously that bot lane 2v2 coming out has provided all the space that No Name needs. He might even get a double scuttle here. I would imagine that Gudanica goes straight towards topside river scuttle. Otherwise, you can't get 3-buffed and get 2 scuttled because that's too much of an experience disadvantage in the early game.
Yeah, that is going to be really, really rough. It looks like Gudanica should be able to get there in time, but No Name is bolting over. Difference is Gudanica does have the smite, so it should just go over to Gudanica, and Aragon also leaning up down towards him, meaning this actually might be a little bit too rough for No Name to do.
Is that now going to be No Name heading up towards the Krugs? I think it is. I think No Name's looking to potentially match him at Krugs right now. He just used the vision thing. The vision thing.
Scryer's plume.
He used the vision thing, Jake.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh, I forgot. I know all of them. I was like, yeah, the fruit thing, the vision thing. Yeah, those. They've got names.
Health fruit, vision plant. DBL actually getting jumped onto, and the recall got started there. So Aragon might just get himself a nice and easy kill. Goes very low. Triumphal proc, and Aragon will survive.
What was DBL doing, actually? I think they knew that Gudanica was doing his Krugs, or at least they should have known him, because they saw him walk up through the top side, and unless he was backing, the only thing he could have done was go to his Krugs.
That's the power fresh.
Yeah, that's why you have.
Fresh.
That's why you have that Thresh Aphelios together, because it just really makes up for some of the issues that Aphelios has. Dude, I'm not sure what DBL was doing in that scenario. If No Name had stuck around, that was a great play, but No Name had gone back.
Yeah, it was a little questionable by DBL. He did get more damage than I expected, Elf, though, onto Aragon. But Aragon now going to go off. He's got the Coal, he's got the Vampiric Scepter as well, so he's got a lot of sustain to work with. Vango is having a bit of a rough time in this lane, staying equal to D.Va, but the range difference is really, really rough for him on the Zoe. He's getting zoned out pretty heavily, and this is obviously affording No Name a lot of prio to just move around the map and look for Gudanica. Gudanica kind of struggling to keep pace. Obviously, is up in experience and levels and has done a good job considering he got free buffed to actually stay relevant to No Name, and obviously he will outscale. That is the difference here. This Graves will outscale the Elise. Hook is going to land, but the Lantern is there.
But it doesn't matter, really. They're frozen lane at this point in time. You know, they're in a situation where you've denied... Look at the experience disadvantage between Harry, Jeppe, and Blue Spirits. I mean, Gudanica's heading down on this bottom side of the map. They know that he's there, but here is No Name too.
Yeah, they got the Graviton, so they're going to lock him in place, and Gudanica secures the kill. The teleports are coming in. Harry with the Infernum trying to put the damage in, but he's not able to do it. No Name turns it back around as Aragon slides in forward, flashes forward, and gets himself a kill. Gudanica sliding in as well. MNM flip it back around as the Call of the Forward Squad and the Cocoon get thrown out. Aragon does get knocked up as the Brittle Cracks are going to do a lot of damage to him. D.Va sliding in, and it should just be a kill for No Name. D.Va actually doesn't find the assist either. Great turnaround once again for Munster.
D.Va's going to be able to crash the wave. I mean, his support is good nonetheless because it really zoned Gudanica away. They knew he was coming down, I believe. That was beautiful. Aragon once again coming to the rescue. I think Aragon comes to the rescue a lot for MNM in a lot of these fights. But Vango. Unfortunately, yeah, Vango has to pop Ghost here. I mean, that's Zoe for you, by the way. I think Aragon comes to the rescue for MNM a lot in these mid-game fights, especially on the Renekton. Unfortunately, did not hit level 6. If he had hit level 6 the same way that DBL had in that engage, that would have been a different story, I feel. It was just that small experience disadvantage that Aragon had up against DBL in that situation was the undoing for that team fight.
And another really big thing that happened right at the end of the fight was they shoved in the bot lane, which meant Harry, who's already behind in CS to Blue Spirits, suffered even more as Gudanica had to catch a few of those minions. So Harry really bleeding out in this lane at the moment, and seeing him suffer as Vango is actually just able to dodge away momentarily onto the knockup from DBL. Throws out a bubble as well, just to send him packing. And that'll be a base from Vango.
Yeah, Vango didn't need to burn anything there. Knew that he was pretty safe. The knockup, unfortunately, did not land. Like you said, though, this is a grim lane for Harry, but you expect that into the Kalista. You know, the Kalista's dueling power is that much stronger. For the most part, against the Aphelios. Aphelios really requires specific gun combinations rather, to actually even go toe-to-toe with the Callista, and usually it's like the Severum and the what's the one that heals you,
Calibrum, I believe?
No, Calibrum's the sniper.
Oh, the white one.
The Chakram and the red and the white one. Red and the white one. Yeah, the red and the white one. Chakram and Severum, I think, is the two that would help you in kind of a close quarters engage with Callista. But realistically, Callista's going to have the edge in almost every little skirmish, especially with the Nautilus in this stage of the game. And you're not playing an Enchanter with Aphelios, you're playing a Thresh. So this is a really defensive pickup in lane, because you're not really looking to go for the big hooks here, because you know that you're probably going to lose out in a 2v2 anyway. So this is just like we said, it's a really defensive pickup for Harry, and they're kind of conceding the lane in a ways because of the picks that they've got here.
And Munster, recognizing that they've got the advantage, actually do find themselves a hook onto Dreampire. The heal comes out, and Harry has got the I'll kill you combo. Vango comes in onto the flank, uses the barrier for the movement speed, gets himself the bubble off, and looks to try and turn the damage onto Jeppe. But now Blue Spirits is just 1v3ing in their faces. Gadunica now looking to try and mop up this fight. Gets caught out by the cocoon, gets hooked, and the CC is on. They throw down the Moonlight Vigil, and Gadunica gets himself the kill as they burn down Gadunica as well. A 1-for-1 bot lane.
Yeah, and in the meantime, D.Va was not rotating down. It was a great little roam from Vango, but they were just too weak to actually initiate the 3 versus 2 properly. Dreampie got taken so low in the previous engage, and then No Name turns up at just the right time, and they come out, for a 1-for-1. That's really big from Blue Spirits, though. Dreampire!
He goes down. He's going to find the kill. Harry does actually get one in return, and he'll be able to shove this lane in. Actually, it's a fair amount of damage.
Harry didn't even get the kill. That's worth, for Munster Rugby Gaming. That kill went over to Dreampire because of the Ignite.
So rough. And actually, basing on a ward here, Harry is going to step away. Now the action has cooled down. Actually, I can finally make my point. You can see that Blue Spirits and Jeppe want to play this lane because they've not opted to go for the lane swap at 8 minutes like typically we see a lot of teams do. They want to just snowball the lane as hard as possible. They don't care about getting the Rift Herald yet. And they are just going to play for the lane. It looks like now Jeppe swapping out to the top side. So it's a pretty late swap. And this does mean that Harry actually won't have his white and red gun. So typically when you go for the 8-minute swap, that's around the same time as the Aphelios gets his red and white gun, which is his best combo for taking down plates. So the quick kind of plate swap you do normally isn't actually going to be as viable now for MNM, as they don't actually have the right gun loadout to kind of melt through the plates. Gadunica is leaning towards this bot side, so they're going to try and see if they can find a pickup or something. But for now, this is a very, very smart play from Munster. I like this.
Yeah, what I would say for MNM is that this is quite classic for them. If they can't actually contest the Rift Herald or even go for a neutral objective contest, they tend to funnel gold from plates onto Harry. They tend to just give him loads and loads of gold from that plates on the bot side. And obviously, we know Aphelios, he does have very high turret taking potential. So this is kind of very classic for MNM. If they don't think they can contest in a neutral objective fight, they go straight for these plates, and solo experience and solo gold into Harry. It's a big deal.
All of the forward score gets used as Dreampire goes golden. Doesn't have his flash. He throws out the hook and misses it. Don't really get too much there. First Turret Blood will get taken down by Munster in the top lane. Meanwhile, Harry just chipping away, like you're saying, onto these plates for himself. Someone has to go top lane to deal with this Herald. It looks like it will be Aragon.
Yeah, and everyone's going to back and try and hit that Dragon Pit in about 25 seconds time to make sure the second dragon in the game goes the favor of Munster Rugby Gaming. Like we said, Munster Rugby Gaming, they're the team that needs to have the proactivity. They're the team that needs to make the plays because they are the ones that have a bit more of a timer on their composition. Whereas, when you're running with Aphelios, you always have the backup of a really strong late game AD carry to work with. The only thing that I am a little bit worried about is that apart from Aphelios, the Azir kind of outranges the majority of the damage for MNM, and a good Emperor's Divide could really zone away a lot of the sort of the mid-game damage potential, especially of Gadunica and Aragon. So you're really heavily relying on Harry in the late game, realistically, to get the majority of your work done. The game, obviously, as you can see, has been paused very briefly. There's some lag issues, I'm being told, for one of the teams, and hopefully they'll be resolved pretty soon. That's a really good trade for if you're MNM, though. They're actually ahead in gold, believe it or not. Somehow, despite the first turret going in the way of the first turret going the way of Munster, a lot of the gold is coming from the massive gold lead that the Aragon has in the top lane. He's got like a 40 CS advantage over DBL right now.
And he was able to take 2 plates as well, along with those 2 kills. So Aragon is just significantly ahead of DBL. Obviously, DBL will still be relevant because he can hand out his ornaments, because he has great teamfight initiation with the Call of the Forge God. And I don't think we're really going to see too much come out from this dragon, as the resets are coming in for Harry in the bot lane. So he's not going to be able to come and help them take or contest this dragon, as he wants to spend all that money he just got from the tower he just took. Blue Spirits is coming fresh off a back, moving up towards this dragon pit. So it is the Cloud Dragon. I think MNM, they're quite okay to give up the second dragon. They'll look to contest the third once Harry is a little bit more relevant.
But, you know, this is something that we've seen MNM, and I really want to reiterate that this is a really good way to deal with the fact that you don't think that you can contest Herald. It's basically making the executive decision that you aren't strong enough to compete, so there is no point swapping. You may as well take the numbers advantage that you have on the bot side of the map and just generate a load of gold for your very gold-hungry AD carry. So that was just a really good play for MNM, and it just shows you how smart and how, I guess, measured they are about their sort of the ways that they're attempting to get inroads to their win conditions, which is something they do quite a lot with Harry, like we said. But I still think, despite the gold lead being in MNM's favor, this is still Monster Rugby Gaming focused. We have the Infernal Soul, which is going to be huge for this team as well, especially with the Azir, and loads of plates are now being funneled onto Blue Spirits and Jeppe as well.
They are going to be able to clear out this wave in the bot lane, so they don't lose the turret, but that was a lot of gold just picked up for Blue Spirits. Bot side, if they actually do send Harry into the mid to clear the wave out, he's actually going to have to go the long way back around, as No Name and D.Va will zone him away. As the hook comes out from Jeppe, Gadanica able to dash away in time. And they just need to get more gold into Harry. So he is pretty far behind, and like you said, very gold hungry. Aragon, though, he has spiked. He's got that Blade of the Ruin King. He is able to go toe-to-toe with DBL and have no issue doing so. So DBL is going to be continuing to be playing weak side here for the rest of this.
At what point do you say that second rotation bans is good enough to ban Renekton versus MNM? I feel like that's a really valid strategy versus this team, because Aragon on Renekton seems like a very scary prospect to deal with.
Oh, teleport's coming in. They got the blind off into Blue Spirits. He uses the Blade the Ruin King. Vango crucially misses out on the Paddle Star, and Jeppe gets the kill. Vango had to do one thing, and that was land that Paddle Star, and he missed it.
I don't blame it. Can be difficult versus a Callista. She's one of the more tricky AD carries to land skill shots on because of that ability to just hop around when you're landing those basic attacks.
Vango able to flash away, gets jumped onto the shields there as he takes the lantern. Oh! D.Va shuffles them back for the kill, and Dreampire is sent back under the tower with a sliver of health.
Beautiful shuffle. He did it right on the edge of the lantern pickup so that he was able to secure the kill onto Zoe, but also push Harry back as well. Beautiful dive. Easy as you like.
Teleport's coming in, and it looks like MNM are looking to go for this. They get the slow off with the blind. Aragon will complete it. Has the minions to dash through if he wants to chase, but can't really go for too much more. Flashes in with the Blade the Ruin King, and Gadanica gets himself the shutdown onto Jeppe. MNM do fire back in the mid lane. This Blue Spirits will come to try and clear out this wave, but he has to be quite careful versus Aragon. Aragon is a bit of a beast, and a hook coming out from Dreampire as they jump in. This will be the end of the days for Blue Spirits. He has to flash away, and he is able just about to survive. Gadanica has no ultimate. Blue Spirits able to live.
Aragon did have ultimate, though, there. He didn't feel like it was necessary to pop it. I guess he anticipated they'd be able to kill Blue Spirits through the pure CC alone. But if he had popped it, that would have been a kill onto Blue Spirits, and that might have allowed them to exert a bit more pressure on that mid lane. But, you know, that's basically a pick for the sake of a pick there. Monster Rugby Gaming, really nice dive. And again, looking to keep applying pressure. I would say, though, still not a massive gold lead accrued, but I need to give context to that. Most of the gold, I feel, is sitting on Aragon. The rest of the map is a little bit further behind. I think there's probably a minor gold advantage over to Gadanica because he is ahead in experience and ahead in CS. Yeah, minor gold advantage. He's got about...
Oh my lord, that top.
Yeah, it's like 3,000 gold in its own right in the top lane. So that's the context that is needed. And I do actually think D.Va can probably nullify Eragon in a lot of teamfight situations. So what I would say is take that gold lead in context, or take that gold difference in context, because actually there is a massive lead on the bot side of the map in both mid and bot for Munster Rugby Gaming.
Yeah, with the Blade of the Ruin King and the Zeal on Blue Spirits, he's got the double daggers as well, so he's very close to that Hurricane, which is the kind of key spike for the Kalista. Meanwhile, Harry still needs realistically 2 more items before he starts to really take over the game, but once he gets his own Hurricane, he will be a lot more relevant. It looks like MNM are just going to use this opportunity. They want to use that 3,000 gold lead advantage they got in the top lane to take out the Herald, but D.Va will get some free time to chip away at the bot lane turret as he takes tier 2 for himself, and MNM now going to just try and brute force the Herald mid lane.
What I would say about doing a big commit to Rift Herald in the situation like you saw there is that what does Rift Herald usually net you? Like, what are you doing when you get a Rift Herald? Like, what does it usually get you, Jake?
A turret.
Yeah, so when you trade a turret for Rift Herald, you're basically trading equal, right? You're basically trading equally. There's a big team fight opening up here, though.
Yeah, Call of the Forge God's going to land onto 2. Into the bounce house they go. The minions are sent forward as a hook does land onto D.Va. A massive shuffle back means Dreampire's back in the team, and Vango just doing literally no damage over the wall. Finally lands a paddle star, puts one to sleep. But Blue Spirits is just going to run them for a double kill onto Blue Spirits, and it's an ace for Munster.
What happened to MNM? They just evaporated. Like, absolutely evaporated. Munster Rugby Gaming, they are on fire right now, and they are showing some of the weaknesses of MNM. Like, if you just manage to get a really strong bot lane, you can't rely on the scaling of Harry. You cannot rely on Harry to just get to a scaling position. Vango has looked next to useless this game, and really Eragon unable to solo carry from the top side of the map on this Renekton. Maybe getting that aggressive bot lane, something like the Kalista, is exposing a weakness in the MNM roster.
Yeah, it really is. I'm glad you said Vango feels useless, because in that fight, I don't think he landed an ability until his team were dead. Like, he missed so much on a very grouped up Munster. Now, obviously, they are fairly easy to shuffle around when you've got, obviously, D.Va's dash, Blue Spirits has got the martial cadence. But even so, Vango needs to start hitting these skill shots and start actually weaving in the damage, because MNM's life is so hard at the moment as it is, and it's just about to get harder. You got a 4-0 on to 1 here. It's actually might have to hold this as the hook lands onto Jefe. Is actually is enough to save Blue Spirits and getting chunked out from Vango there, as he did take a bubble.
Yeah, Vango has got the Ludens, so even if he isn't ahead, he's still a scary Luden Zoe is still a big spike, and especially when you've got such low HP like Blue Spirits, it's still something that can put a lot of pressure onto you. There is a lot of commit to the bot side of the map here, playing through Eragon right now, with Zoe, Vango just providing a bit of zoning potential versus Eragon on the bot lane tier 2. But Munster Rugby Gaming, they don't care. They're going to go straight for the mid lane tier 2 and try and trade top lane tier 2 for bot lane tier 2.
I will be the turret going down. The Call of the Forge God actually has been used. Vango able to secure himself his first kill on the Zoes. The turret will also fall. MNM. The minion wave has died out, and D.Va's actually getting a refresh of a minion wave crashing in at the same time. MNM actually are going to commit, though. They're looking for the Wraith. As they're onto a tier 3 already, maybe Munster have been caught off guard a little bit on this one, but don't really have the wave to work with on that one.
Actually lose 2. That's a really nice play from MNM. Just utilizing the strength of Eragon, trying to play through him, exposing that difference between himself and DBL to try and find some resources and get some gold. Remember, the main factor, the main goal for...
Dredge Line's going to land. They use the Cooler Fates, and that's going to be Vango falling. Gardunica pops the ultimate to try and survive, gets a lantern to safety. Vango gave his life up because he looked for a little bit of poke onto Blue Spirits.
Yeah, not super sold on the play there from Vango. I haven't really been sold on Vango through the majority of this game, to be honest. He's not felt like he's had that much of an impact. He's dropped 60 CS behind D.Va, who, admittedly, when we talk about D.Va, we talk about him being one of the best mid laners in the league, so we have to give some slack there to Vango. But yeah, this has not been the finest hour for this boy in the mid lane. What I would say about MNM is I think that they're trying to play to the win conditions that they have left. So I don't want to flame them too much. Like the win conditions that they have left is let's funnel gold onto Harry. But he is so far. I mean, look at the item difference between Blue Spirits and Harry. Blue Spirits has got a Blade of the Ruin King, a Ginsu's Rage Blade, and a Runan's Hurricane to an Infinity Edge and a Runan's Hurricane that's just been finished. It's not as drastic as it just looked about 2 seconds ago. But irrespective,
it's still a 3K difference.
It's still a significant difference. It's a one entire item difference here for Blue Spirits.
Oh boy. MNM are stepping up though. They are looking to see if they can get control. They need to fight this dragon because this is Infernal Soul. As Vanguard just gets chunked out before it even spawns, Aragon pops the Dominus early. And that's now his ultimate down. Unable to step up here. MNM really playing scattered.
Aragon maybe just miscommunicated. He was looking for a flank. You always do like to pop the Dominus before you head into a team fight because you want to get that immediate damage off. Plus the rage generation really helps. But yeah, a little bit of a miscommunication because now Aragon's not going to be as useful. Vango gets taken super low.
Yeah,
Aragon's trying to bait them out.
Is able to live. Aragon drawing them away. Vanguard does have teleport, so he'll be able to join back up in. And Dominus already coming back up, but the Call of the Forge God's been thrown down. They're looking for the fight, but Aragon, a fantastic stun means they can't go for the re-interact. Harry doing a lot of damage to Jeppe and No Name over the wall as Blue Spirit's now trying to put this extra bit of damage in. Vango comes in onto the flank as Aragon gets chased down by D.Va. MNM's health bars are low and they are flanked. They have nowhere to go. A double kill already picked up onto D.Va. He's looking for another, gets himself a triple kill. It's Blue Spirits he finds the last double kill. Munster just wrapped around, coiled around MNM. And they find themselves the kill. Vango is going to be run down with the Infernal Soul onto Munster. Vango has nowhere to go. Looks like they're not even interested in chasing the Zoe. It's all about Baron.
What I would say, Hit Brainers, we talked a little bit about the potential for an Azir to really pick apart the MNM composition. Like Azir will outrange pretty much everybody except for Harry, and that makes these team fights really difficult if you're MNM, because the Graves and the Renekton with a good Emperor's Divide can feel really useless. And obviously Zoe, unless like she's finding like threading the needle onto a particular carry, she's not going to get a huge amount of work done in these team fight situations. What I would say then is that because Harry is so far behind, thie team fights look dire for MNM. It really doesn't feel like they've got some kind or any kind of edge, realistically.
No, they really don't. Jinpai just getting half health as well off the back of a Jeppe hook. This is the power of the Infernal Soul. Just every little bit of damage has extra nice little bit of burst to it. And we talked about the gap in items between the AD carries. QSS has also been picked up for Blue Spirit since we spoke about that, but there's also a gap in the mid lane. Vango actually did buy a Medjai's. He's now sold it and just gone back to a Dark Seal. I think he realized being 1 and 3 probably isn't really worthy of buying that. He has got himself the Luden's Echo and a needlessly large rod versus the Leandries, the Lost Chapter, the Nash's Tooth, the Seeker's Arm Guard. There's so many items onto D.Va right now. He's so far ahead of Vango. He's got a 3-level lead, and now they're looking for the play onto him, but he throws down the shield. He's able to survive through this. Gidanica unable to tidy up, and MNM just chasing for more. Blue Spirits is going to do a lot of damage. Zeragon actually is able to slide in onto the back line, gets himself knocked up and bopped down as Blue Spirit secures the kill, gets himself another one as DBL takes out Gidanica. Vango sent packing, has the blast cone to clear the wall, but MNM are just being walked through here by Munster.
It was a really good initial pick onto D.Va. If they just managed to get the damage onto him and picked him off before he was able to zone back and get that return damage onto the MNM roster, it might have been a good team fight. Aragon's flank was beautiful as usual, but the rest of the team were just not in a position to follow up on that flank, so he was just left alone, left out to dry versus this versus this Munster Rugby Gaming roster. And this should be a pretty easy Baron take here for Munster Rugby Gaming.
Oh my God! You absolute beast!
Oh no, you hate to see it. Easy Baron take, just as I was saying that, Vango snipes it out. Does that change anything?
They didn't have a jungler!
Oh,
wait, they did?
They did, yeah, they did. They had No Name and they had Callista stacks. They should have been able to time that together to really zone Vango out from even being like able to make that play. Huge pickup The question that we need to answer now is how much does that change? It might give enough time over to MNM to allow Harry a death dance. If Harry gets a death dance, we might see these team fights change up a little bit. Maybe this is the time that they need. Obviously, they've got Elder Dragon to worry about in 2 minutes 50, but that is such a huge deal to buy a bit more time here for MNM.
That just bought time. That was the Munster. If they got that Baron, would have won the game, 100%. But with that has bought time. That doesn't mean that MNM have now suddenly won the game, but it is a great start for them. Vango getting chunked out as he does look to just get a little bit of poke onto Jeppe. They may still lose a tower off the back of this, although Gdanica is going to be able to clear out the wave, and Munster are going to continue to hide under this Legacy of Shurima they've got down in the mid lane, so they have a kind of safety zone to play at.
Having these Baron minions does make it a little bit more difficult for D.Va to push those waves in. Obviously, Blue Spirits will have to commit a bit more to make the pushes happen himself. This is like I said, that Baron take might actually be very influential here. I don't know if it will personally. I still think this is Munster Rugby Gaming in the driving seat, but all MNM need right now is time. It's all they need at this point in time, at this point in the game, is just time for Harry and time for Vango to finish that Rabadons, for instance. So the more time that you give them, and Baron certainly gives you time, the more likely it is MNM might find a way back into this game, and it's really going to rest on the shoulders of Harry. If there is a time for Harry to step up as the AD carry that we've known him to be for MNM, this is the point in the game where we need him to make it happen.
He's still 700 gold, or 600. No, it's 550 at this point, I think. He's still a ways off actually having the death dance. He's got all of the core components for it. He's got 200 in his pocket, but he needs to catch a couple more waves and then base to get the death dance. And with the Elder Dragon spawning up in a minute, I don't actually think he has that time to get that gold injected into him for the Elder Dragon if they look for it. But Jeppe actually just looking for the instant hook, the call of the Forge God to come down, and Aragon is on the flank. He's popped the dominance, and MNM just trying to put some damage out, but Harry's already been taken out. The hook is going to be used, but they pull him out the face call. Gdanica flashes forward as he gets taken down by D.Va. This is so bad for the side of MNM, and that was exactly what Munster needed to close this out.
Yeah, you talked about it. It was that one item that they were waiting on for Harry. It really accelerates the power level. Vango is going to be fish food here for the rest of Munster Rugby Gaming. This will be the game, but it was such a perfectly timed team fight. I think Munster Rugby Gaming were very well aware they could not let this game go for much longer than it already was, and it was such a well-executed and well-timed engage. They will take the win.
Bar that fumble at the Baron, Munster have played this game incredibly well. They recognized who was strong on MNM, and they shut them down and took them out. 29 minutes on the clock, and Munster get the win.
Really good stuff from Munster. They played through bot lane. They played to their win conditions. There was a little hiccup around the Baron, but like we said, I wasn't sure how much of a difference that would make this game. It was a desperation Baron steal rather than something that could genuinely influence the outcome. It was a time-buying Baron. But honestly, with that Elder Dragon on the clock as well, Munster just played it perfectly. They set the Dragon Soul up early. They played around the first Rift Herald really nicely. They played through bot lane, which they needed to do with the Callista Nautilus lane, and they put Harry under pressure. MNM didn't have another source of carry. With Aragon being on the Renekton, there was only so much that he could do, and they couldn't actually find another win condition to activate, especially versus the Azir, who made the life of both Aragon and Gdanica hell in these teamfight situations. Yeah,
Honestly, this is why when I did my power rankings last week, as we hit the halfway mark in the round robin, after the first round robin, I put MNM at the top, and it is people like D.Va who completely sold, Blue Spirits as well. These two have really proven time and time again to be some of the best in their role. And Vango, it wasn't the Vango we've seen for the last few weeks. I'll admit that he definitely looked markedly weaker there, but for the side of MNM, that was a heartbreaking loss, because winning there was the difference between them cementing themselves in first, and now they've been pulled down. And pending on what happens with the game for Enclave, who are playing next, I believe, versus Bulldog. So if Bulldog can win, then it stops Enclave from pulling ahead into first again. But
we actually could have a four-way. We could have a four-way first-place tie. If London win and Enclave win, it's another four-way first-place tie with 7 and 3s across the board for the entire team. So we'll have to see what happens at that point. I think today I'm very happy to say D.Va's the best mid laner in the league for sure. D.Va's the best mid laner in the league 100%, and I'm now leaning towards Blue Spirits being the best AD carry in the league. Genuinely leaning towards Blue Spirits looking like the best AD carry in the league. He looks absolutely insane. His laning 2v2 is really strong. He's got a breadth of champion pool that we talked about in the draft, which is super good. That some AD carries do struggle with in this league. Harry actually being one of them. And that's really lending into Blue Spirits' pocket. Honestly, Munster Rugby Gaming, I genuinely feel like they are #1 power ranking right now. In London, obviously, are looking strong too. I'm not gonna put London down, but Munster look like a different beast from what we've seen previously, and they are the team to beat in the UKLC at this point in time.
Yeah, Munster have been on the up and up, but we are going to cut to a quick break after this game. We'll be back with an interview, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the UKLC. We actually have an interview standing by. My producer tried to call me out, tried to bait me out, actually, and say we have the coach, but it's actually the manager for Munster. Mulgrew, how you doing, mate? You right?
Doing
Did
good,
I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Mulgrew.
Mulgrew.
That's fine. Perfect.
How you doing off that win?
I'm feeling great, you know. It's good for the team and obviously good for us in the standings to sort of get that win and sort of solidify our chances of coming closer to the top of the table.
So, just before the game started, you you're talking to me, well, not sorry, the game, just before the interview started, you were saying to me that you were listening in onto the comms and you heard when the Baron was stolen. What was kind of going through your head at that moment when you heard that had gone down?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I'm allowed to say that on stream. But it was shaky, you know. But considering the lead that we got, it was sort of, you know, I was still sort of fairly confident that we could still sort of, you know, finish out the game. It's just maybe something for Reclamation to talk with the team about after the game. Yeah, still feeling confident.
To me, that was like the Baron was nigh on inconsequential because it was like a time buying Baron for MNM, and they needed so much time for Harry to become relevant in that game that I think that it was never going to buy them enough time. But obviously, you never want to lose a Baron, right? That's always a little bit of a worry when it comes to a team. Something that I want to talk about, and I talk about a lot with when we talk about Munster in the UKLC, the talent that you've got has gone from strength to strength. And I said to Jake after the game, I'm quite happy to call Diva the best mid laner in the tournament, and I'm now leaning towards calling Blue Spirits the best AD carry in the tournament as well. Both of these guys look incredible on the roster, and actually Blue Spirits is the person I've been impressed with the most. What has it been like developing a talent like Blue Spirits? Because he came from relatively unknown backgrounds. Even from just last year, he wasn't really a majorly active player in the UK scene, so you kind of picked up a diamond in the rough when it came to this guy. What has it been like developing him as a talent for your roster?
So he, first of all, is just an all-round lovely guy and has a really sort of good work ethic. So those are the two sort of important things that I sort of look for when you're looking at sort of rookie talent. And then also, you know, incredibly high in solo queue as well. But obviously his only previous competitive experience had been with the UKEL. So for us, like seeing his level of development just from the first scrim set, our first week, massively improved. And I think as he's got more games under his belt, he's also had quite a few sessions with Callum Abbott Sai, who's our sports psychologist as well. And I think just getting to know and work with the team, like he's come along such a huge way from the start of the split. And for me, I'm just happy for him because he's a great player. And now that we've given him the opportunity, it's just great to see him, you know, fulfilling his potential and sort of really proving himself to be the player that we saw at the start of the split.
That's fair. So talk to me a little bit more about obviously the league in general. So my power rankings aren't quite where we are looking at currently in the standings, but after today we could be in for a 4-way tie in first,
yes,
pending our next 2 games. Out of the current like top 4, which team do you think is going to give you the most issues?
I mean, London. I think the guys, and sort of based on our previous games as well, like the only losses we've seen so far this split have been 2 against London and then our first game against MNM. And I think in a lot of our previous games against some of the other teams, we've looked really strong. So for us, I think London will be our biggest competitor. Now that we've sort of beaten MNM in our second game against them, but I think the level of the league this year hasn't disappointed at all, I think. And I think it's been good to see the UK players getting a lot of chances, and I think it's been good to see like a 4-way tie at the top of the UKLC isn't something we've seen in years in the UK scene with Fnatic and Excel. So it's just so good to see that change in scenery, you know, and actually have, you know, a lot more to play for all of the teams.
This is going to be a bit of a generalized question playing off the back of that, actually, because I really agree with you. I think it's really healthy to have a league where you don't go into a game and know that you've lost straight up. You know, like when you were playing in the UK scene previously, you went into a game versus Fnatic Rising or BTXL. If you were the likes of like Barrage or Bulldog, you were like, well, this is like we're fighting an uphill battle even from the start, even from resources point of view. But like, what is it like? And what do you envision for the future for the UK scene, given that we now have this multi-tiered approach with a way to foster talent from several different levels? What do you envision for the future of the UK scene?
So the future of the UK scene, I think, is definitely in a positive situation. I think the NLC is a sort of great first step, and I think the UKLC is a good level of competition without sort of having the top teams of Fnatic and Excel in. That sort of make it a bit unplayable. So I think having the academy teams in the UKLC having sort of the other teams that are fighting for NLC spots in like Demise, Enclave, London and stuff like that. I think it's, and also having the UKEL as well, so like having a third tier of play to sort of get players noticed and sort of get them some competitive experience. So I think it's only looking good, and I think it'll be interesting to see at the end of the split how strong the top UKLC teams are, how we stuck up at Teleon Masters, and to see if any of them can take an NLC spot for next set.
Yeah, have to find out. Obviously, the UK scene on the up and up, a little bit like Munster in the standings. Thank you very much for joining us here for the interview, and good luck for your future games. We'll be cutting to a quick break now, guys, unfortunately, as we'll be getting ready to go into our third game between Bulldog and Enclave. We'll see you after the break.